So welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be reacting to when Call of Duty took itself serious. Now, over the last 5 years, Call of Duty has definitely lost its way. With each year that passes, majority of the Call of Duty community are hoping and praying that Call of Duty returns to its roots. Most of you guys do remember when Call of Duty was going through a phase of having futuristic warfare. And we all begged and pleaded to return to boots on the ground. And we actually got that. But then in 2017, we all had a brand new game to play, that being Fortnite. And that was really the first time ever we've seen Call of Duty go downhill. And I'll say it now, Call of Duty has never, ever recovered. So I thought, why not? And let's listen and react to Weezy's video on when Call of Duty took itself serious. The video that I'm reacting to will also be linked down in the description as well. Well, we used to have faction-based characters, announcers, and spawn themes. And we still got that. Task Force 141.
Good job, team. Get ready for the next round.
Against a lot of what we have now. Nicki Minaj gets chucked in there, right? When Call of Duty was serious. Alright. Let's voice my opinion as well.
There used to be a time when Call of Duty got made fun of for becoming too Hollywood. Kind of like the Michael Bay of video
Facts,
games.
actually.
But at the same time, it was still serious and did its own thing very well. The story and theme it was trying to convey felt more grounded, or at least it felt more impactful. And then when you went into multiplayer, it felt connected. You weren't worried about seeing a few Nicki Minaj's running around. And instead, it was just two armies fighting each other in a location that made sense for the most part.
That's true.
None of what I will talk about will affect gameplay. Doesn't affect how well the game runs. And it sounds like a stupid thing to gripe about, right? But there's nothing wrong with preferences. That's something we should talk about when it's the game we get to enjoy after all. Call of Duty has changed things that I think just give it a silly look and atmosphere. And this falls mostly in the multiplayer, but a little in other modes too.
Right.
No one disagrees when the highest priority should be set on making the game satisfying to play. But with each video game that is successful, it typically has a charm that makes the game feel more proper. If you were to boot up Modern Warfare 2, the original one, and you just sat there in the menu for a little bit, what type of mood does it put you in?
Happy.
For me,
happy, simple times.
Yeah, this is Modern Warfare. You can identify it by its music, the background, and the images correlating to each mode.
Facts, that is facts. You know that's Modern Warfare 2.
You remember it
just by the soundtrack.
Modern Warfare was exactly what you would think. It was a modern take on war, and you got that feeling throughout every single mode you played. What I'm trying to get at is a theme, a unified theme. You shouldn't ever underestimate the power of this. A theme can help immerse you into the game. I for sure want to be immersed. Don't you? Jumping around from campaign to spec ops to then multiplayer, it all had a similar look. The battlefield of an army against another army helped immerse you into the game. You were just another soldier, not an operator fighting other operators. Especially Nicki Minaj
It's a good point.
Operator. Her being in Call of Duty kinda just lives rent-free in my head at this point. I for one prefer playing as soldiers that I don't know anything about, but have a cool aesthetic to them. I definitely don't mind campaign characters being in there either, but I think it's much better when everything just makes sense. Playing as specific armies against other armies isn't just all about their character look either. It can leak into several elements. One of those being the announcers. Do you remember when each faction would have their own announcer and actually sounded like they belonged there? Some would give their heart and soul into the callouts.
We've been EMP'd! Electronics are down! The enemy's taking our flag!
Man was screaming in the booth.
Friendly AC-130 in the air. Enemy AC-130 above. Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
The battle is lost, but the war has just begun.
I mean, it's not wrong.
No, they've captured our
like,
flag.
this is definitely faded.
Fight back!
Counter UAV up. They're blind.
Enemy AC-130 above! No! They've captured our flag!
I used to love hearing the announcers from every game because they fleshed out the atmosphere of each match. To help maps feel more unique, there wouldn't be just any random faction thrown in. It would be a more proper faction for the map that made sense.
Free for all.
That's crazy, man. It's like next to no effort now.
And the games would typically
with little
have
things,
several options to select from when it came to maps. You look at a game like Black Ops 1 and you have several different options that would change dependent on the map you played. The soldier you specifically played as was determined by certain perks you had selected. But what do you see when you browse through all of these characters? They all make sense. They fit the theme,
Yeah,
and
facts.
they look like real soldiers. You had 6 different factions with some variety when going between different environments. There also used to be different music themes when starting a match.
Nah, man. That one especially, the Black Ops one. Just give me goosebumps for real.
Search and destroy.
Even
Yeah, I
if you didn't
remember
think
that.
much of this while playing, you could just feel the difference when hopping between the older Call of Duty games to the newer ones. There just isn't sense of this anywhere in the multiplayer.
That's not
All
there, it's
random
true.
Operators that make the game look
That
like
is true.
one big giant ad. I understand microtransactions are a thing, and that's a huge way companies make their money, but what's stopping them from having boundaries in what they make? Instead of releasing Homelander, release some cool Ranger or anything that fits the theme of the game. Multiplayer used to mold into the theme. Now you jump into it and it's all a jumbled mess of random things. Call of Duty's about war and the events from them.
They just
It
want
used
the
to be
money,
about
man.
committing to a theme and staying true to it. If it was World War II, then you would get a darker horror take on it with something like World at War. If it was during modern times, then we would be seeing higher stakes with more advanced weaponry. Bringing back the aesthetic would help change the tone of the game and give it a true theme that it could be known for.
Zombies.
For a mode like Zombies, you could easily think that would be crazy to throw into a Call of Duty game displaying the brutality of World War II. It doesn't make sense, it isn't realistic, but it also used to stay true to itself. It was its own universe after all, and it did take itself seriously. Zombies as a mode was something different. It wasn't replacing anything and didn't derive from the experience of others. Multiplayer would still play the exact same, and so would campaign. Nothing would ever really bleed over to those modes. But you could also say that there was an invasion in the mode of Zombies. The invasion of operators that seemingly have less soul than a basic soldier.
That shit was ass, man. Dumb decision.
There. The campaign has started
You need like the core 4.
with all our characters being in the universe now. Nothing feels unique anymore. It all
It's
is
true.
starting to feel overwhelmingly generic.
But I mean, with Black Ops 6, I mean, we're semi there. We actually
That's
have
pretty
like a
much
main
where I think
cast.
Call of Duty is at. The gameplay is an entirely different beast, but when we talk about its charm with each game's theme, a lot of it has just become bland and doesn't make any sense. It may seem like something small, and it's definitely something not a lot of people would care about, but it does make a bigger difference than lots would think. You can make fun of older Call of Duty all you want, but it used to have themes that it stuck true to. They were serious about displaying different eras of
Nah, he's
war,
right,
and
he's
when it came
right.
to alternate modes such as Zombies, they approached it as its own thing. Booting up a Call of Duty game used to come with a distinguishable look that you could quickly identify it by. That
He's gonna
would
show the
carry
chair,
throughout
ain't he?
in several different ways. But the part where COD can still be considered
Maybe not.
serious would have to be only the campaign at this point. The story for the most part is still serious, and basically the only mode that I think actually takes the theme of the game seriously. I still get immersed into the experience and it feels proper, but there is something you could pick apart from it. Everything can feel too hero focused. There was moments where you would again just be another soldier. You could be anyone and you jump into their perspective as they fight through the events of the game. There was a balance of this. The storytelling often had you jumping from character to character to eventually lead to the ending of the game where everything would unfold. It had a certain way about it that made the story feel more grand in scale. Like these events were truly more than just our main cast of characters. It made characters like Ramirez become a living legend amongst fans even though he was a silent protagonist with little backstory. But it also had guts. Things like gore and torture scenes like in World at War makes the game feel
You're soft now, man.
A mission
Way
like
too
No
soft.
Russian left impacts on the players and went as far as being controversial in the media. Things like that set the dangers
took
in the
risks.
story.
Now they
makes a
don't.
villain someone to not take lightly. Plot armor on characters also plays things too safely and doesn't present any danger to our cast if we always know they're going to end up surviving it. I think that, in a way, has creeped into the game as well. But when Call of Duty took itself seriously,
Yeah, I agree.
it was able to captivate gamers across all modes they would play. It stuck to its guns and made games that were fondly remembered by the charm it provided in each of its modes. Although this may not be a big concern, It's not something to forget, and I think it's fair to be vocal about. If it wasn't for an overlapping theme, I think older Call of Duty games would have had a hard time going down as being iconic.
I mean, he's right though. I was always a believer of like, I don't really care what operators they bring in, you know, the more the better, the more content that we actually get. But then when you think about it and you listen to what he actually has to say, it makes a lot of sense. There's really not much else that I can actually add on to that because everything he said is true. But they're just looking at how much money they're making from microtransactions and it's not really going down. So to them, they're just like, fuck it. It's another successful Call of Duty. So we all just have to wait until Activision pull their finger out of their ass. But until then, we're all pretty much, they just don't care.